Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2025 release Push. It's a Shudder original and it's coming to Shudder on Friday, July 11th, so this is a no spoiler review. But first I want to address the fact that I'm actually wearing a collared shirt in this review. It just is because I am up early before needing to go to work and dressed for work, and I'm like, you know what, I might as well just bang out this review video. So yeah, maybe this will make people take me a little more seriously if I dress this way. Maybe it'll make me seem more scholarly. But anyway, gonna talk about that film Push. It's written and directed by David Charbonnier. Charbonnier? That's how I'm guessing it is. And Justin Douglas Powell. They did The Boy Behind the Door and The Djinn. I saw The Boy Behind the Door. I thought that one was pretty solid. I have not seen The Djinn. Again, Shudder original coming Friday, July 11th. So, synopsis on this one. It starts out with a woman who you get a little bit of backstory on through a nightmare that she's having, that she is pregnant, and the father of the child that she's pregnant with passed away recently in a car accident. Literally, that's information you get like within the first 5 minutes of the film. So you get that setup of this is who this person is, basically, and that's kind of what this person is boiled down to, is that like that event is this person's entire identity, which I think is a problem in itself. But so then you find out this individual is in real estate and she's trying to sell this very nice looking house that's very secluded at the same time. It hasn't been able to be sold for the reason that people have died there. Sorry, my cat is making a lot of noise right now. Anyway, so it hasn't been able to be sold because there have been people who have died there before, so she's determined to be the person to make this happen. But then once she gets there, it's a horror film, so something ends up going wrong. I don't want to tip the hat of what's actually going on too much, because I'm going to be honest, there's almost no story to this film, unfortunately, and I think that's one of the biggest weaknesses of it. But I'll talk about more as I go on. The beginning feels like it's trying to be overly dramatic when nothing really is happening to kind of feel like it warrants being overly dramatic. And it's mainly with the opening credits scene. That's the biggest thing. Because, like I said, they have that backstory that's set up very early on within the first few minutes of who this person is, which, again, is problematic. That it's just boiled down to this person had a traumatic event and she's pregnant, and that's it. That's pretty much all you're going to know about this person, and that becomes their identity. So a very flat character with really no depth to her. There isn't a whole lot of development because there wasn't much of a character in the first place. Other characters that show up in the film, barely characters as well. So the character writing is really bad for this film, unfortunately. The dialogue is fine, though. Decent dialogue, feels realistic. I think they did a good job with that one. But yeah, it feels overly dramatic, and a large part of why that is how the score for this film ends up being used. The composition itself, in a lot of moments, is very overly dramatic, in my opinion. Probably should have been dialed down a little bit, especially for that opening credit scene I was talking about. The opening credit scene is literally a woman, the real estate woman, just walking around this house that she's going to be selling, taking a look at all the rooms and kind of like opening the windows up, all that type of stuff. And it's set to this super overly dramatic music, and it goes on for a very long time. So you're just kind of like, okay, like, are we saying that something's going to happen here? And nothing happens there. Like, and you wouldn't expect it to, because it's way too early in the film, and it's after that opening sequence that already gave you the backstory of the character. So it wouldn't make sense to be there anyway. Would have been cool if it was, but it's not. And it's a really weird choice, in my opinion. Just such a weird choice. And again, the opening credits are severely drawn out, and it's just very boring because you're just watching her walk from room to room to room to room to room with this overly dramatic music. But then I will say that as the film goes on, it starts to feel like that is the movie itself. Is this person just going from room to room to room to room? But then it becomes a situation where she's doing it with some tension added in there because it's a horror film and she's trying to evade something. So that's kind of like the big question of like what is going on with this house and what is she trying to evade. And like I said, I'm not going to say anything if people do want to check this out, but it's just it just feels so drawn out, so boring. And there's nothing new with this film. There isn't a single new thing with this film except the shooting location. I think they did a really nice job choosing the house that they were going to use. It's very interesting. So they did have kind of a lot to play with different locations. Although those shooting locations, it might not all be the same actual house. Maybe it is, and if that's the case, very interesting. But it could be like other houses for the different rooms, because that does happen, obviously. Needless to say, the score is very annoying and overused in this film. They do crank it way, way, way up way too often, so that's not a great thing. The filmmaker, at least in the beginning of the film when it's light out, because eventually it takes place in the beginning when it's light out, and then the sun starts going down, and then eventually it's dark, and then it's dark for the most of the film, and you can see enough. So I think lighting wise, they did okay with the dark sequences, but during the lighting, the filmmaker really loves doing that kind of like hazy lighting coming through windows, and it makes it look awful. It looks really, really bad. You know, like doing it shortly here and there is fine, but to have it be like it makes it seem like they're trying to use just natural light in the daytime sequences with this film, and it just looks terrible. So it was a really bad choice with that one. I do think the main actor does a solid job with the role. I think that she is pretty decent at what she's doing. Unfortunately, she wasn't given a whole lot to work with the script itself, especially because, like I said, there's no depth to this character. It's just a flat, static character. And it's just like she's just supposed to be there to have some trauma, be pregnant, and go through something, and that's about it. It's shot okay. I will say, you know, the direction, the cinematography looks decent. Nothing super flashy or interesting, but it's solid. It's not bad at all. It's not one of those films kind of like one I watched recently, like Smiley Face, which is a comedy. That one shot terribly, and you can tell, like, immediately you're just like, oh man, cinematography, direction, awful with this movie, but solid enough with this one, so that is a plus. They did do a good job of choosing the shooting selection, selecting the shooting location, sorry, like I said, but spending an overwhelming amount of time of the movie just walking through it doesn't make for a compelling movie, and that's one of the biggest issues is, for me, there isn't really anything compelling about this film. I think in the beginning, before you get to maybe about like the 30-minute mark, there are some kind of questions and you're wondering, well, where are we going to go with this? But then as soon as you start to understand where they are trying to go with it, it's just boring, 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 boring. Although, I will say there are certain sequences that do an okay job of creating some tension, of this main character trying to escape whatever's going on in the house. So from a directorial standpoint and a cinematography standpoint, I think they did a pretty solid job with that. And the score is okay-ish in some of those sequences, but again, you know, cranking it to 11, just going too over the top. The why behind this movie is so dull. So dull. And it's... in general, this film is just a very dull film. It's very milquetoast. It's very bland. You'll see this and be like, man, if I haven't seen this a million times before, and there's no flavor to it. Like, they add no unique anything. It just feels like I'm not going to say AI-generated script, because that's a very charged thing to throw out there, but just minimal effort, basically. It's just so generic and just like, whatever. It's entirely unremarkable, and it feels way longer than it is, unfortunately. Now, all of that said, you know, I wish the filmmakers well. I always do. It is very hard to make film, and I know that, and I personally am not doing it. I'm not writing scripts. I'm not directing. I'm not, you know, trying to do cinematography. I'm not acting. I'm not doing lighting, sound design, score composition. I'm not doing any of this stuff. So it's easy for me to sit here and kind of pass judgment on things. But, you know, there will be people who do watch this film and enjoy it. And I really hope that is the case, because every film does deserve to kind of find its crowd. And, you know, I wish the filmmakers well in their future. I guarantee they're not going to end up seeing this, but, you know, if they do, I would hope that they would kind of, you know, maybe take a little bit from this and, you know, do something different with the next script. That's all. And The Boy Behind the Door, again, I thought that was pretty good. I did enjoy that one. But anyway, out of 5 stars, half stars in play, I'm going to give it a 2-star rating. I thought about going 1.5, but I think those moments that did kind of work with tension from time to time, plus the main actor's performance, plus it's shot pretty decently, I think that got me to the 2-star mark. So pretty unremarkable, but some people enjoy it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the film. If you've seen it, we can talk spoilers in the comments. Go ahead and put them down there. Do me a quick favor and hit subscribe to my channel to help me out. Thumbs up on the video also helps me out. Those are the free ways you can do it. You can also hit the notification bell button if you want to know when I'm putting up new videos. And you can sign up for a membership with my channel. I have 3 different tiers for very small fees monthly, and you get some interesting perks with those tiers. And obviously it goes up in the perks you get. So anyway, thank you so much for taking your time to watch this. And until next time, keep it brutal.